Welcome back to Strings and Pucks. This is Jeremy Laura. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time stopping by, make sure to click the like and click the subscribe. We've got a very special piece of gear today. This is another pedal courtesy of Johnny 3-Bar over at the Utility Muffin Research Laboratories. I think I got that right. He sent this over, and in this beautiful magnetic box is this. This is the tube-driven BK Butler clone, and it's a clone of the deluxe version. You'll notice there's a biasing knob on the back there. So the pedal has a simple layout, but there's a lot going on under the hood here. First, you can see there's ventilation there. There's an actual preamp tube in there. This pedal runs on a 12-volt power supply. This is an actual warning here. The pedal will not function if it's not powered properly. So when I plugged it into my power brick, even though I was using the 12-volt socket there, it wouldn't even turn on. I had a very inexpensive power block, a rechargeable, that said that it had 12 volts. It did not have surge protection. When I tried it, not only did the pedal not turn on, but because it's a tube circuit, I ended up damaging the battery in that very inexpensive unit, and I'm honestly lucky I didn't damage the pedal. So before we go on, be forewarned, this is an awesome pedal, but it needs to be treated with an extreme amount of care. You need the proper power. So I'm using this direct into a surge protector while using my power brick for my other pedals separately. The other part is we've all been on a stage where a pedal can get kicked, people walking by. There's a glass tube in here. You have to be careful with this pedal. So right away, if this is something where you're not in an environment where you can power it properly, you can't make sure that it's safe and taken care of, this might not be the best option for you. Even though it sounds incredible, Johnny B did an amazing job recreating a classic and highly sought after overdrive. So what is this pedal? So Johnny first, he made a custom enclosure for me. It's more the size of a regular pedal. Oh, it's about 1.5 times wider than a standard Boss pedal. I keep it next to my Boss tuner. So it's much more pedal board friendly than you'll see. The original circuit it's based on comes in an elongated white enclosure. That is a custom option. Johnny would talk to you about that, but I was more than happy to get an enclosure that was a little more pedal board friendly. What you'll notice is once this is plugged in, the pedal stays on the entire time. And again, I'm plugging this into a surge protector. I cannot recommend that highly enough. When you turn off a tube amp, sometimes the tube will release a little bit of voltage and can do damage to your wiring in your home. I took out part of a circuit breaker once with a PV Classic 30 by accident. It's very cool. Once you turn it on, that green light stays on the entire time you play. You're not turning the pedal on and off. The tube is warming up. You can kind of see some of the light through the enclosure. You can see the LED shining. The tube is in there. You need to have this in a way that it's mounted. I have a Holy Board pedal board where air can get underneath this. You don't want to restrict the airflow. But the tube stays on the entire time. And then when you engage the pedal, you get the red light. So very cool, a little Christmassy, but that's what it looks like when it's on. So on the enclosure itself, a person who wrote a song with that lyric, whose initials are DG, famously has one of these pedals on their pedal board. I'm avoiding mentioning specifics because when you do a successful and wonderful clone, you sometimes have to be careful about the language that you use. So you've got that graphic, you got the cool knobs, the switch, and then Johnny did these custom graphics for me, the cross and the dove. Very much appreciated. I love this pedal. I love the way it looks. 4-band control, volume, high, low, distortion, then the biasing knob. What does this do? I don't know, but here's what it sounds like, and here's why it was designed. This control is only on the deluxe version of the pedal that this is based on. It was designed by a famous guitarist, or it was asked for, because this guitarist would try to match the tubes in his amplifier to his pedals, because to his ears it made a big difference if he's using, let's say, an EL34 and his pedal has a different tube in it. So what this knob does is it alters the property of the tube to function more like a gamut of preamp tubes instead of just one. I will play with this. I don't know how much difference you'll hear, but again, you're talking about a very high-end feature for someone who's made a living for decades listening carefully to their amplifiers. It's awesome. I appreciate it. I've found at 12 o'clock, I love the tone. Apparently, a lot of people love it right at about 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and we'll go through that. So these are high. There are a lot of high-end features and what I like to think of as a transparent overdrive. By transparent, I mean that the main characteristics of the guitar are still coming through the amplifier without being too colored. I'll compare that to a fuzz pedal. If you have an old-fashioned fuzz pedal, it almost doesn't matter what guitar you use. Some of them, you're just going to hear the pedal. This tone to me, and at the heart of an overdrive, is like souping up your rig so that you've got the sound that you've created and you're just heating it up. You're getting the preamp to clip in your amplifier. You're pushing the signal to get hotter and hotter and get that overdrive sound. That's a really desirable trait, especially for blues. And I'd really wanted a replacement for a Tube Screamer clone that I have that broke down. And Johnny was able to put this together for me. So I'm gonna put this through the paces so you can hear what it sounds like. I'm gonna stop talking about it, but I want to go through just one more point. The first thing people are gonna ask, is, what do these cost? There's a couple reasons I can't just give you the price. One, again, when you create something based on something else, if you advertise that, you're potentially asking for a headache, okay? So we just saw the company Behringer do a clone pedal, and they advertised it, and it was clearly a matched pedal to something else, and it led to time in court. Nobody wants that. Johnny is amazing, and he charges a fraction of the cost of building one of these, but it's based in part on availability. So if he doesn't have tubes in stock, if he doesn't have these PC boards in stock or the chips in stock, he has to pay whatever the market price is right now to get those in. And the fluctuation in the market is intense. Some of you have noticed it. What I would tell you is this: go to Utility Muffin Research Laboratories and email for pricing and availability. It might not even be available depending on parts, and the pricing is based on what is available to Johnny at what price at that time. So I've had some of you ask me over and over again, I cannot give you the pricing because it won't be accurate. You have to connect and ask. Anyway, got that all out of the way. Now we're going to go into some tones. Thank you for tuning in. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through the biasing switch and the changes that it makes. So right now, and I'll put a picture up on the screen, I have the biasing switch all the way to the left from where I'm sitting. If you're looking at it from the front, it'd be all the way clockwise, but to me sitting here, it's all the way counterclockwise. And everything else is pretty much at 12 o'clock on the pedal. And I'm using my Scarred Guitars Generation 1 Gauntlet. These pickups are hand wound by Kathy. Beautiful. They're kind of classic pickups, but with more mid and bass, wound a little bit hotter. Really, really nicely done. And I'm all the way open, volume and tone. Now I'm going to take the biasing switch all the way the other direction so you can hear the difference. That's all the way, one way, and I'm going back to the original. All right, to me, it's a very subtle difference. What I'm hearing in the room when I turn it all the way to the right from where I'm sitting, I hear it open up a little bit. It's very, very subtly different. I prefer it all the way open that way, and I'll put the picture here. So if you're facing the knob, this would be all the way counterclockwise. It gets slightly brighter when I turn the biasing knob all the way like that. Again, almost indiscernible to me, but I prefer it all the way open. But I'm really going to be keeping it at 12 o'clock for most of this. That's kind of been a sweet spot I've found. So that's the biasing knob, and you can decide if it made much of a difference or not. So the biasing knob, it does something. It's just not a huge difference to me. So here's the pedal with the biasing knob right around 12 o'clock and all the settings at noon right now. Middle position. Neck position. A little bit of single note stuff. Middle position. Bridge position. Okay, now I'm going to take the distortion and turn it down a bit. Middle position. Bridge. All right, so that's the distortion right at about 9 o'clock. Now I'm going to turn it over to 3 o'clock. Middle position. Really good sustain, neck position. Okay, now I'm going to go all the way open with the distortion. So at 9 o'clock, that's the tone, close to the tone I would use if I just wanted a little bit of dirt playing some blues. But you can hear when you open it up, it adds a lot of mid, it adds a lot of bass. Honestly, there's a lot of in between on this. I'm going to try to use my volume now to see what it does, like I did on the germanium clone, the OCD germanium clone. So now I've got the distortion all the way up. This, what I felt like when I rolled back the volume is it actually just made it more like a tone knob. Where it gets darker and a little bit quieter. So kind of final thoughts. Wide open, this thing screams. The sound that it makes is the sound I want out of an overdrive pedal for something like blues rock. No problem with harmonics and really beautiful. If I crank it up, beautiful cranked. My go-to is going to be right around noon, just because that's the position I play. My favorite has been biasing at noon, overdrive at noon, pretty much everything at noon. So anyway, that is the Johnny 3-bar clone of the Tube Driver circuit by BK Butler. Love this circuit. I love it for blues playing, for improv. I feel like I get that kind of that cleaner, if it makes sense, that cleaner distortion, a little more transparent. With the germanium overdrive, it gives you that nice dark crunch that you get out of more of a distortion fuzz type circuit. So if you're comparing the two, those are my personal thoughts. I'm going to do a little bit of playing with it in a mix with my looper pedal. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please click like and subscribe. If you like these pedals, head over to the utilitymuffinresearchlaboratories.com. The link is in the description, and you can email for pricing and information. Thanks for tuning in.